All right, Machu Picchu, you know, the thing that stands for South America to everyone in the world. It is not the highest point. It is a lower point to them. It's at 8,000 feet. Cusco's at almost 11. So to them, that was like, oh, this is great. And it was down the eastern side where it gets closer to the Amazon and it gets wetter. Orchids. There are hummingbirds and orchids all over Machu Picchu. And Pachacuti built it for his weekend home. It was a 3-day walk. He didn't walk. He was carried in the litter. But it was 3 days from Cusco. And he would come here, and about 200 people lived here to be ready for when he visited. And there were agricultural terraces that they don't usually show in the pictures. And every one of these had a thatch roof. So you have to imagine it with little, you know, pointy, like a house, our houses with thatch roofs. The main plaza you can see, and it's so topographic, so organic. It's really steep when you're there. You're like, I'm going to fall off, you know. It's beautiful. It's stunning. And there's lots of different parts to it. I have 2 monuments that are important to you. The Intihuatana stone is right here at the highest point. That's one of them, and they call it here, in this one, the Temple of the Sun, but we usually call it the Observatory or the Torreon, which means the big tower in Spanish. So you might see it under either of those, or the Observatory. So this was also to connect up with that astronomical alignment stuff. The Intihuatana stone, there's 2 views of it at the top there. There, and almost every Inca site has one at its highest point, and what it translates into is the hitching post of the sun.
This is the what's at its highest point.
Yeah. The Intihuatana stone. The Inti is sun, and Huatana is hitching post. It's not that there's one of them that's called this. That's their generic type. And they tend to look like this. They'll have a chunk, and then they'll always have this pointing up part. But they're never exactly the same. They have this organic quality to them. The Inca always liked to carve things and leave some parts of it natural. And I encourage you, if you want to really get the Inca, to read chapter 7 of my book, because I go into the Inca relationship with stone, and it's fascinating. And I love having the Inca in here because they're really abstract. And they show that abstraction didn't start, you know, with Mondrian or those guys. And you can communicate a huge amount without iconography, without figures. There was some figural art in the Inca, and a lot of it was in gold, and it was melted down. So we've obviously lost. We have little bitty figurines. So it's not that they never made figures, but their major style and contribution is in colors and shapes and carving of the earth itself. So this is an slightly organic shape. It might be like a sundial, or it might be sort of like the idea that the sun is you put a rope around here and you attach the sun. What that would be important would be on the day of the solstices, the sun seems to stop for about a week. Through naked eye astronomy, you can't see it moving. And that is your time of anxiety. Is it going to start going back north again? So the hitching post is kind of like grab the sun, make sure, like leading a llama, make sure that it's going to go back. That's my concept of it. We don't have, the Spanish. That wasn't something that they knew about. But this is a way of relating yourself to the sky. And of course, you put that on the highest point of a site to be closest to the sun, to try to control the sun. And that's what kings want to do. So that king, the Maya king that sat in the solstice sunlight in structure 40, similar. Here's Machu Picchu. It marks both solstices. The June one comes in this window, and this abstract shape has the shadow right in the middle of it, that shadow right there. And the winter one comes in the other. So that when you think about the 2 of them, they create the cross, the 4 directions, you know, the cosmogram of everything. They don't do it at the same time. but during the year, they do that weaving back and forth through this building. So this is another thing of figuring out how to place your building to make this happen, and having ceremonies. And it's on a boulder. Do I have the boulder? No. This is the bottom of the stone. All that I was showing you was up above. That building, the circular building, this is the top of a big stone, a big giant boulder, top of the big boulder. And what I'm showing you now is down below, there's a, I should have put in one more slide. So the circular building is up here, made of stones. The boulder is literally that big, and it has a big cleft in it. And the top of the boulder comes into is the floor of the building. And down here in this cleft, what I'm showing you now is going to be a detail down here. What's absolutely wonderful is that in Quechua, their language, the word for boulder is also the verb to begin. The boulder here is the foundation of the building. It's the beginning of the building. They built their building and fit it onto this organic shape of the boulder. The boulder is beginning. You know what a grain of sand is? The end. Geology. A grain of sand is the verb to go extinct. So this is their language is part of their artistry. Down below is one of the most beautiful passages of stonework, and I would spend time on this if you can. This detail. This is the cleft inside, and the building's way up here. Look at all the stuff that they've done down here. Inside, they've made a room inside the cleft of the building. So they fit all these stones and made this niche, and they've made a little sacred place at the heart of the stone, inside the crack, the place where sort of like a natural cave, like meeting the, you know, it's its own little world. Here, they've taken the edge of the crack. They've done almost nothing to this one. There's natural, a little bit of smoothing, a little bit of carving. This one they made into steps. They terraced, the Incas terraced half of the Andes. I mean, they built terraces to grow corn on. They love this stepped form. So they stepped this. Look at this stonework. It's like water flowing between this part and that part. They fit these stones in and made them flow through that area. Then here's another very little worked. A few stones making, you know, like the boulder is the beginning of those. And then some more stones over here. It's like they spent so much time and so much effort fitting these stones, and all they had was other stones to peck them. They didn't use metal tools. They peckety, 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 peck. Fit them in. Oh, that's not fitting. Bring it back out. Peck it a little bit. Put it back in. They went to all this trouble, and this is a wonderful statement of being part of nature. All of this is in relation to a cleft boulder and fits into it, right? You know, they haven't flattened it. They haven't made it into the shape of a puma. They haven't done all those kinds of iconographic things, but they've inserted themselves almost literally, you know, their stonework and the stone itself, and every blend and blurred edge between those two. So they're taking the power of nature, the boulder that's alive, and they're appropriating it in many ways. This is a more difficult thing for your students to get at, but I would, and if you read my chapter, I think you'll see a lot of different examples of it, that the Inca want to be organic, like fitting Machu Picchu to its environment. They didn't chop off the top of the hill and make a nice little place for Pachacuti to lie in the sun. But they also want to show that they are there. Kilroy was here. They're always carving a little bit and civilizing and making steps out of something that's totally natural. And after a while in this whole area, they do this a lot to boulders that are just out in the fields. And you start seeing the Inca presence. It's like they're always kind of there, a little bit big brotherish, you know, carving steps or something, leaving enough so that, and you're a little bit like, you're seeing it out of the side of your eyes, like, is that real or is that Memorex? That was an old commercial, you know. Anyway, that's their genius, is in stonework. 20,000 people worked for 20 years on it, and it wasn't done. So time, if you spend enough time and you have enough people, we think, Western concept, it has to be efficient and the fewest number of people have to do it, like at a call center nowadays, right? Take away those assumptions and you can have 100 people drag a boulder 10 inches in a week, if you want to, if you choose to. And you would get these giant monoliths. I mean, some of these stones, this isn't even, see again, I didn't get the best picture, but if there were one like that, a person would be about that big. Enormous, enormous monoliths. And again, the message here is the Inca state can control all that time and all that effort and force people to carve this stone and put it, you know, you've already got this stone, and then you lift this stone up like this.
Who cares how long it takes?
And then you say, oh, it's not fitting very well, and you get everybody to take it off again. And the powder, if you've been pecking on this one, the powder is like in the dentist when they chomp on the blue piece of paper and they see where it's fitting or not. Yeah, okay, it's nice and tight here, but it's loose here, so we have to peck some more. Put it back on. Take it back off with these tonnage of pieces.
To what end, I'm wondering? Like, all of that energy and all of those resources?
To show that the Inca are present, to claim political power, to harness the life force of the stone itself, because stones were alive, and make the stones, and also these walls are social statements. They all fit together like we would fit together, like one big family. You know, they fit together also because they're irregular. That helps in earthquakes. You don't have a whole row, course that just falls down. They are like puzzle pieces that hold themselves in. Plus, they are what's called bedded, which is like this container is bedded because it dips down in the middle. And this one you would make convex, and this one concave, and this one would fit inside there. But there's no mortar, because mortar makes a stiff wall. And when the earth goes like this, these stones, at most, they would go like that, and they would end up back where they started with after the earthquake. So they're absolutely engineered perfectly for their world, but they were so picky and precise about these edges. And again, there's no iconography to it, but there's plenty of meaning, because everyone who saw those knew.
They knew the process.
They knew the process. And they leave some evidence of the process. There are, I don't know if you've got one here. Yeah, right there, there's a little lump sticking out. I don't know if you can see it. They had a bit of a protrusion. They would carve a bit of a protrusion that would help them, that would give them a little bit of help to get it off and on. And then often they would leave those protrusions. That shows the process. It shows how they did it. It reinforces the time and the effort and the skill and the perfection. You know, an empire can afford to be perfect. They want to be perfect, right? They want to have the most perfect everything to just put you down and oppress you. The Inca are fascinating, and I encourage you to there's a lot more written about the Inca. That's another reason that I chose them, you know, amongst the various Indian peoples.